October 27th. I'll just repeat that. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. This is the meeting of the San Diego Community Power Board of Directors, special meeting of the Board of Directors, October 27th. It is now 4:14, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Kimberly, can we do a roll call?
Yes, City of San Diego representative,
LaCava, present.
County of San Diego representative,
Lawson Reamer here.
Imperial Beach representative is absent. La Mesa representative is absent. National City representative,
Sotelo Solis present.
Chula Vista representative is absent. Encinitas representative.
Joe Mosca present.
We have a quorum.
All right, we have one action item on our agenda, approval of findings to continue holding remote teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 361. General Counsel, do you have, did you want to queue this up or any discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. These are the findings you make every month in order to allow you to comply with AB 361's teleconferencing requirements. We're doing it here because the closed session was added, so we'd like to have the findings made for this meeting. And then they'll also be made on the consent calendar for the regular agenda too. So as a formality, we just ask that you do a roll call vote on this item so that it complies with AB 361.
All right, any discussion on this item?
Now I'll move the staff recommendation.
So we have a motion and we,
Sotelo Solis second.
all right, and we have a second. Kimberly, did we have any public comment on this item?
No, we do not.
All right, let's vote.
Director LaCava, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Sotelo Solis, how do you vote?
Sotelo Solis, aye.
Director Lawson Reamer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Mosca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
We have two items in our closed session agenda. First one is public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, title Chief Executive Officer. The second one is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency designated representative is Ryan Barron, General Counsel of San Diego Community Power. Unrepresented employee is Chief Executive Officer. Kimberly, do we have any public comment on this item?
There are no public comments.
Any of my fellow directors have any comments or questions or thoughts or discussion? All right, not
No.
seeing anybody raise their hand. So then we're going to move to closed session and then we'll come back to this link after closed session. See you in closed session.
Kimberly, I don't think I'm fully following what Joe told us to do.
In an email this morning, I sent you the link for the closed session.
Got it. Okay, I'm going
And
there.
then, okay, and then come back to this one.
Great.
Andrea and Allison, if you're on, I tried to promote you to a panelist. You should get a message to accept that.
I got it. Thank you.
Hi, Kimberly. Can you tell me when we have a quorum? Please.
Yes.
So I see Director Lawson Reamer, Director LaCava,
Humora.
and I see Director Humora. Actually, we have a quorum now, so I'm gonna call this. It's good to see everyone, by the way. Good evening, everyone. Sorry to skip right to business. We're just coming from a closed session, and so it feels like we've already kind of started the business. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the San Diego Community Power Board of Directors. It is October 27th, and I have 5:13. I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask that Kimberly do another roll call.
City of San Diego representative.
LaCava, present.
County of San Diego representative.
Lawson Reamer here.
Imperial Beach absent. La Mesa representative.
Here.
National City representative. Absent. Chula Vista representative. Absent. Encinitas representative.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, let's move to Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we're going to move to special presentations, and today we have several new members of our team. So we have Samantha Gunzi, who is our data engineer, Andrea Torres, Senior Portfolio Manager and Power Services. So we're still building out that team. And Christopher Du is our financial analyst. And I'm gonna, is this Aisha? Asike
Canoe.
Kuna. Thank you so much, Akisha. Portfolio Manager, Power Services. Did anybody want to say anything? Well, welcome to the team.
They are all on. If they have a minute to say hi and introduce themselves.
Akisha, did you want to say something?
Hi, yeah, this is Asike Canoe. Happy to join the team. Started October 17th, coming from the Imperial Irrigation District, so another public entity where I was a trader. I'm, as you can see there, joining the Power Services team, supporting our RA efforts and anything and everything that also may be required of me. So
And it's Akisha.
Asike.
Asike. Asike.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'm going to get that proper.
Sure.
All right. The next one is Samantha.
Hi, hello, I'm Samantha. I graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in 2019 with my degree in computer science, and I've since worked for Microsoft as well as a smaller consulting firm as a software engineer. And I'm really excited to be joining SDCP and bringing my technical skill set here, especially as a born and raised San Diegan. So
Great. Well, thank you for joining the team. Is Christopher with us? Move to Andrea.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I most recently came from SB Energy as asset manager for 5 developing and operational assets totaling 1.7 gigawatts. Prior to that, I was a project manager for an independent engineering firm, DNV, supporting tax equity funding for solar assets. And then prior to that, I was at PG&E for 7 years, the bulk of the time working to run RFOs on distributed and large scale solar and other renewable technologies, including bioenergy and hydro. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we're really excited that you've joined the team. So thank you, guys. Thank you to everyone for joining the team. All right, let's move to report from closed session. General Counsel.
Thank you, Chair Mosca. For items number 2 and 3 on the special meeting agenda regarding the closed sessions, there are no reportable actions for either for either item.
Excellent. All right, we're going to move to any changes to the agenda. I'm going to change the order of the agenda just to ensure that we have that it's as efficient as possible and that we have a quorum. I'm going to move 11 to the top of the regular agenda, and then 9 and 10. And I'm going to move item number 8, and I'm going to move that to the November agenda. So now what we're going to do is go back to public comment. Do we have any members of the public that would like to address this board of directors on items that are not on our agenda? Kimberly, you're mute. You're on mute.
Sorry, there are no public comments. There's no hands raised, but there is one written submitted comment that will be emailed to the directors from Climate Action Campaign in support of item 11.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to move to the consent calendar. We have 7 items on the consent calendar. Kimberly, has anybody pulled any item from the consent calendar?
No.
All right, any member of the public wish to comment on the consent calendar?
No hands raised and no written comments.
All right, so then I'll entertain a motion on the 7 items in the consent calendar.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
LaCava, second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Director Humora, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Sotelo Solis, how do you vote? Director Lawson Remer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Mosca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
Let's move to the regular agenda, and I'm going to call on item number 11, approval of the IRP, the Integrated Resource Plan.
All right, thank you, Chair. Good evening, directors. Stephen Gunther, Senior Regulatory Analyst. I'll be presenting on this. And then if there are any difficult questions, I'll kick it over to Byron. So next slide, please. So just to give a little bit of background, integrated resource plans are required to be filed every 2 years by all load serving entities under the jurisdiction of the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC. And this includes CCAs. So this is actually the second time SCCP has filed an IRP. And they're long-term plans that detail our procurement strategy and model resource portfolios to meet a variety of state goals. So that includes GHG reductions, reliability, as well as minimizing air pollution in disadvantaged communities. And it's important to note that IRPs are compliance filings, and due to their long-term nature, much of it is a modeling exercise. So they're non-binding, and SCCP's procurement strategy and our resource portfolio can evolve over time. This is really just to model looking forward in this long-term range from 2023 to 2035. And I also want to note that the IRP is in addition to several other compliance filings that SDCP undertakes, such as the Renewable Portfolio Standard and Resource Adequacy. So there's multiple ways that we are checking our boxes with the CPUC, and this is one of them. Next slide, please. So here is a very high level overview of the process, just to kind of help provide some context around how we arrived at SCCP's plan. The full detailed process that the CPUC has can make you a little dizzy. So this is a very simplified version of the steps that are relevant to this discussion. So first, variety of inputs and assumptions that are created to meet the various state goals that I stated earlier. And then there's also load forecasts where they look out to forecast what the expected electricity load will be and what resources are expected to come online. Then the CPUC takes those assumptions and they create what they call a reference system portfolio. And this is the portfolio for the whole state's system using those resources and expected load to develop what they consider a target portfolio for the state. And then using that portfolio, they allocate to each LSC a target based on their proportional load share. Then, so based on that those allocations, each LLC has to file 2 conforming portfolios that meet those assigned targets using the reference system plan. And then we would also choose what our preferred system portfolio is. So that is the process. Next slide, please. So here shows, as I mentioned, there's 2 conforming portfolios. They both have GHG benchmarks for 2030 and 2035. One of them, the 25 million metric ton conforming portfolio, is a more aggressive scenario in terms of reducing GHGs. And then below shows SDCP's assigned benchmarks for those 2 portfolios based on our load share. Next slide, please. So staff worked with our consultants, Pacific Energy Advisors and BB&W, to develop our IRP. SDCP selected the 25 million metric ton scenario for its preferred conforming portfolio. And that's the more aggressive GHG reduction scenario. In our modeled portfolios, reductions are well below our assignments. In addition to the state goals, I wanted to mention that we also worked back from SDCP's adopted goals and targets to develop our PCP. So our baseline assumptions included the 100% renewable and the 15% infill targets. There's a slight caveat there that the way the reference system portfolio is modeled, there are some limitations. So in our plan, it shows 95% rather than 100. Next slide, please. And here you can see what our overall resource mix looks like under this scenario, as well as what new resources we expect to bring online. So as you can see, our plan expects to contribute to significant new resources, especially solar plus storage, which is the bar labeled hybrid. So this is just a high level snapshot of the portfolio. Next slide, please. So SDCP's draft IRP meets all the state objectives that we have listed here. We expect it to be certified by the CPUC upon our filing on November 1st, given board approval. There is opportunity to supplement the IRP if the CPUC deems it insufficient. That is a process that, in a few months, they'll issue a decision that says which portfolios were adequate or which ones need some supplemental information. But you have the opportunity to add additional details if deemed necessary. I also want to note that in addition to the portfolios that were developed as a part of the plan, there's also the IRP narrative includes an action plan. And this is where we detail how we actually expect to achieve this portfolio and meet the various goals. For example, our plan details our plan for addressing needs for communities of concern and how that will be informed by the efforts going on in our community power plan. So we kind of provide a lot of detail of our plan there and how that's going to contribute to our focus on our communities of concern. So that's just one example of some of the narrative that goes into it beyond the actual modeling. So SDCP's draft IRP narrative is included in the board agenda packet, but myself and Byron are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you for that presentation, Stephen. I did want to note for the record that Director Sotelo Solis is with us. Any questions for Stephen or for Byron? Kimberly, do we have any members of the public that want to comment on this item?
No, there are no hands raised and no written comments.
All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions, or I'll entertain a motion to approve item 11.
So moved.
We have a motion by Director Sotelo Solis. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second by Director Humora. Let's vote.
Director Humora, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Sotelo Solis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Lawson Remer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Mosca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
All right, well, that's going to bring us to item number 9, which is receive and file June 30th, 2022 fiscal year end audited financial statement. So I think that is the direction here different, Kimberly? Are we just going to review this and discuss it?
I believe we are continuing this to November.
All right. Is this Dr. Eric Washington? Or so what's your pleasure here?
So thank you, Chair Mosca and directors. Good evening. As Kimberly stated, we'd like to continue this item to the November board meeting, barring the official completion and receipt of the audited financial statement. I did invite our auditor, who did do a presentation to the FRMC, to just make brief remarks with regard to the results of the current year audit that's currently in process, and provide an update on the status of the final report itself that will ultimately be presented during the November board meeting. I see Brett from Presenti and Brinker on the call, and I'll refer to you, Brett, for just some brief remarks.
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Washington. As was referred to, we did report out in detail to the committee on October 20th. We're actually thinking that we are going to finalize the report tomorrow, and as reported to the committee, and now we're even closer here. This won't change at this point. We expect to report that the financials are stated materially accurately, which is standard positive audit report, and that we did not identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. Both good things, more auditor speech. And I can happy to answer any questions at this time, but that is the essence of it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bradford, for the kind of sneak preview, I guess. So any member, any director have any comments or questions for Mr. Bradford? All right. Since this is on our agenda right now, Kimberly, is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on item number 9?
There are no hands raised and there are no written comments.
All right, so this was kind of a sneak preview. It is our fiduciary responsibility to approve this. And so what I'll do is move this to the November agenda, and we'll have the full audit on our agenda at that time. Is that correct, Mr. Bradford?
As long as that's what's requested of me, yes.
All right, perfect. All right, well then we'll move the, sorry, Dr. Washington.
No matter what, the audit will be done. And if you would like me to come back, I'm more than happy to do so.
Yes, let's do that. Let's move this to item number 9 to the fiscal year ending audit to November agenda.
Thank you, Chair Mosca. Thank you, Director.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, let's move to, I think the last item on our agenda is update on the Community Advisory Committee quarterly report. Is that a staff member or the chair or vice chair of our CAC?
It's a staff member.
Hi, Victoria.
Hello.
Used to be a member of our CAC too.
I did, and I love the CAC so much that I wanted to.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Tara. Thank you so much for pointing me to the CAC. And thank you, Chair Mosca, for opening up this item. So just a little bit of background. As you on the board may already know, the CAC, or Community Advisory Committee, serves as the primary purpose to advise the board of directors, you all, and provide a venue for ongoing citizen support and engagement in the strategic direction, goals, and program of SDCP. Oh, can you slip to the next slide? Thank you so much, Kimberly. And from the direction from the chair, we're providing quarterly updates to the board on activities of the Community Advisory Committee. And the last quarterly update that we provided was on July 28th. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this report is going to be pretty much giving a recap from the months of July, August, and September. And so the past couple months, we formed an executive ad hoc committee that meets monthly to just discuss different things that we're doing at SDCP. we held our officer election. So Eddie Price was reelected for his third and final term as chair. Aida Castañeda was elected as vice chair for her first term, and Anna Webb was reelected for her third and final term as the secretary of our CAC. We received updates and had discussions and also participated in a workshop to help develop the community power plan. And the group also gave a warm welcome to Jen LeBron, our Director of External Affairs. Just one more thing that I didn't put on this slide, we still have 2 vacancies on our Community Advisory Committee. So one is from Imperial Beach and another is for unincorporated San Diego County. It's open until filled, and the links are on our website. And we will be giving another recap in January on October, November, and December.
Excellent. Thank you, Victoria. Any
Thank you.
questions for Victoria? Kimberly, do we have any public comments on this item?
There are no public comments and no hands raised.
All right, well, I'll bring it back to the board. If there's no other comments or questions, I'll say thank you, Victoria. Excellent presentation, and look forward to the next presentation. Thank you. All right, so we have come to the end of our agenda. Just to repeat it, on item number 8 and 9 were moved to the November agenda, and so that brings us to the end of our agenda. We are done with all of the action items, and we are now on to director-initiated items. We don't have any director-initiated items, so we'll move on to reports by our Chief Executive Officer and General Counsel. Karen, did you have any report for us?
I do indeed. Let me get my video going. Hi. All right, good evening, board members, staff, and public. Tonight, which has now become sort of the focus of my management presentation, I'm going to bring you into our organization a bit so you can get a vicarious glimpse into our ongoing activities. Next slide, please. We had a great contingency attend the Cal CCA Gala and educational event about a month ago in September. Carol Midkin was there and spoke about AB 117, the bill that enabled the CCAs to exist. And Tom Steyer was also there to give an inspirational speech about the importance of our work. Over 350 staff and board members from over 20 CCAs were present, and it was a really great opportunity to learn more about our history, become inspired, and network in our industry. Next slide. We combined our SF trip with a trip to Sacramento as well for a series of meet and greets with a variety of individuals, consultants, and policymakers to introduce SDCP and also to introduce our team and our team of experts. We also met locally here in this photo with Assemblymember Chris Ward and encouraged him to reach out to and consider us a resource. I want to thank our policy and legislative team for setting up these important meetings. Next slide, please. Several weeks later, I attended a 2-day Cal CCA board retreat in Los Angeles at the Offices of Clean Power Alliance. The key actions that came out of that meeting were to add a Cal CCA introduction for all new hires across the industry, to better coordinate between certain committees as they are more and more interacting with one another, to form an ad hoc committee to debrief on the 2022 heat wave, the actions that were taken, the lessons learned, and the plan are for 2023. And we considered and outlined this year's upcoming legislative priorities, some of which include affordability, electrification, procurement, reliability, and regionalization. Next slide, please. We celebrated our 3rd anniversary at the SD Wave home game on September 30th. We also used this time to recognize and thank the SD Wave for becoming a Power 100 champion, and we flipped the switch on the pitch prior to the game. I want to thank our Marcon team and our office management teams for organizing the event, which most of our staff and many of their families attended. So it was a great team bonding time as well. Next slide, please. We were the title sponsor for EcoFest in Encinitas this year, which is the longest running environmental fair up in the North San Diego County. And I spoke at both the VIP event in the evening as well as the onstage event during the day, and Joe also joined, our Chairman Joe also joined for both events and gave an inspirational speech at EcoFest too. Next slide. We were Also title sponsors at the Nexus Climate event hosted by the Climate Action Campaign, conference which focuses on the intersection of our climate crisis and environmental justice. About 8 of us were able to attend. I spoke on the final panel moderated by Vice Mayor Marcus Bush entitled, "What Does San Diego Look Like When We Win?" It was a really great event and we were thrilled to be there and be a key sponsor. This is clearly a topic of great interest to us and one that we will continue to shed light on in the months and years to come. Next slide. We also attended the Center for Sustainability Energy's 25th anniversary event, both during the early part of the evening and then for the general celebration. Mayor Todd Gloria spoke, as did Larry Goldenhirsch, CSE's executive director. Members of our team and alumni from CSE, Stephen and Colin, also attended. Next slide, please. Try to go through these more quickly. Next month, the initial phase of the community power plan and our community engagement and outreach effort, which started this summer, will wrap up. Continued engagement is planned once we have a draft plan ready for public review. After many listening sessions, outreach events, and opportunities to engage the community, which we've been sharing with you all along, we are pleased to report that we received over 3,000 individual responses to our community needs survey, of which over 30% of them came from our communities of concern. It was a tremendous effort, and so huge kudos to our programs and outreach teams, as well as to ARUP, who together made this amazing outreach effort very successful. Next slide, please. We had some additional events this month. This was a October and September record month for events. We were at La Mesa Movies in the Park. We were at Mujeres Brewing, where Tessa and Victoria presented. We were at the Claremont Days tabling, and we were at the Paddle for Clean Water event hosted by the Surfrider Foundation. Next slide, please. Team members Lee, and these are some of our upcoming events. So team members Lee and Victoria are giving a presentation at SDSU on the science of climate change and projected impacts. We will be present for the Lowrider Car Show on Saturday, November 5th, which our CAC Vice Chair, Aida Castañeda, has organized. We are community sponsor for the Business for Good Summit on November 4th, and we are tabling at Ciclo SDS on November 6th, which is a free open street event that welcomes everyone to walk, ride, and stroll. Next slide, please. Wrapping up, internally, we are still hiring. We are hiring the following positions: Director of People, Local Area Resource Developer, and IT Associate. And then we've hired several other positions. We have filled a total of 10 positions over the past 4 months. Next slide. We started our 4-part JEDI series, which kicked off with a lunch and learn session with Lisa Gordon on understanding emotional EQ, or emotional IQ, or EQ. Part 2 is taking place next week, focused on conflict management, also with Lisa. And then we have contracted for 2 listening and training sessions with Tyrell Simmons that focus specifically on JEDI training. Next slide, please. Lastly, we had a fun Spirit Day event in the office where our team was encouraged to dress up in our Spirit gear in support of the Padres' upcoming playoffs. We received a surprise visit from Laura Fernandez, our fearless director of policy leader, and her newest family addition of 4 months, Mateo. We were excited to see her and look forward to her return in November. So thank you so much. And that's what I have for this month.
Well, gosh, this is amazing. It almost sounds like you're basically recapping the last several months, but this was actually only 1 month of activities. So thank you, Karen. You definitely have tremendous amount of energy. Thank you to the entire team. Just kind of being a small part of it. It was really exciting. I mean, it was an exciting month. It's been exciting for the last 3 years, but this last month was really exciting too. So thank you for everything that people have been doing. It's just a real ginormous team effort. And so really looking forward to all the other stuff that we have planned before the end of the year. Any questions for Karen on her report? All right, do we have any public comment, Kimberly?
There is no public comment and no hands raised.
All right, let's move to general counsel report. I don't think it's going to be as exciting. Well, we hope it's not exciting, right? Like, this is the report that we hope is not exciting.
It's not exciting. I never have anything to report.
Oh no,
We've
2449.
had a few movements here. I'll keep it brief because I know that it's a tight schedule tonight. And you're getting briefed on this at your member agencies and your other JPAs and special districts that you sit on. And so we can follow this up with a more detailed memorandum, either from the clerk or from legal counsel. But as you know, the AB 361 teleconferencing requirements are, or exceptions, I should say, are coming to an end. They were going to expire in 2024, but the governor announced the state of emergency for COVID-19 pandemic is going to end at the end of February. So the board will need to return to in-person meetings in March and find a space for the public or, rooms for overflow, et cetera. There are some limited expansion opportunities still on the books through AB 2449, which was passed last month. This is going to allow members to attend remotely only in the event of a quote emergency circumstance or just cause, which has to be approved by the board. Also, the meeting must allow the public to attend remotely as well as in person, and a majority of the board members must participate in person from a single location. There's some other quirks to it, such as if you are in one of those two exceptions and there's someone 18 or older in the room, you have to report that. You have to keep your video on during the remote teleconferencing, but you do not have to post your address on the agenda. I'm sorry, not your address, but whatever remote location you're at on the agenda, or allow the public to attend there. So there are a few wrinkles. It's a bit clunky, but just wanted to update you on what's coming March 1st, unless the legislature amends this, and we can give you a full breakdown of all the ins and outs of it by memo or at a future board agenda item if that's what you desire. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Ryan. I do think that in the future, the board may want to have a discussion about what kind of process or procedure they'll kind of adopt in light of AB 2449. I mean, it is up to the individual board member if they wish to, for an emergency purpose or just cause, to kind of to give rise to AB 2449. But we should have a process in place to kind of to kind of how it would work. I mean, it almost seems like the traditional Brown Act kind of rules are probably easier to follow, but I think that the board should probably discuss what a process looks like just in case somebody wants to give rise to AB 2449. Any questions for our general counsel? All right, any public comments on this item, Kimberly?
There are no hands raised and no comments.
All right, so that brings us to director comments. Any director comments? Nothing for the good of the order? All right, if there's nothing, then I'm going to call this meeting adjourned and say good night.
Happy
Bye.
Halloween.
See you guys later. Good
Bye.
night.